American homeowners spend $600 every migration season watching birds fly over, while 20 native shrubs sit unplanted, doing nothing for migrants. Birdcast tracks crossing overnight. Not because you did anything wrong, because nobody showed you that migrants need fruit and insects, not feeders, and only the right plants deliver both. These 20 shrubs match 1-to-1 with 20 migratory species. And the one at number 13, that is the one most gardeners walk past every single season. Somewhere in this video is the story of a retired teacher in Ohio who planted 8 of these shrubs and logged 14 migrant species in 1 week. Before plant number 1, drop your state in the comments right now. Your zone changes everything. Plant number 1. Wild hydrangea. Most American gardeners buy this shrub for summer blooms and never realize they are installing one of the highest insect density foraging stations a migrating warbler can find in any backyard east of the Mississippi. Hydrangea arborescens grows in zones 3 through 9, costs $15 to $30, and produces broad leaves hosting caterpillars, aphids, and leaf-mining insects from April through September, exactly the fuel window spring and fall migrants need most. The Blackpoll Warbler, a bird that flies up to 3,000 miles non-stop over the open Atlantic Ocean, lands exhausted and forages insect-loaded shrub canopy like wild hydrangea to rebuild the fat reserves burned over open water. The most common mistake is hard pruning in fall. Leave stems standing until late spring to protect overwintering insect eggs that arriving migrants depend on. Cut only after new growth shows in late spring. Fall pruning destroys the insect biomass migrants need. But nature did not end with one answer. Plant number 2 attracts something entirely different, and most backyards are missing it completely. Plant number 2. Witch hazel. Every other shrub in the American yard has gone dormant by October, but witch hazel is just beginning to flower, and that single fact makes it one of the most irreplaceable fall migration support plants in the eastern half of the country. Homomalus virginiana grows in zones 3 through 8, costs $20 to $45, and produces spidery yellow flowers in November, when insect activity on every other plant has collapsed, giving the Tennessee warbler a fueling stop that does not exist anywhere else in most yards. The Tennessee warbler gray, headed with an olive back, breeds in boreal forest, and relies on late-blooming insect sources during September migration before continuing south to Central America. The most common mistake is buying a hybrid cultivar. Only Homomalus virginiana flowers in true fall and delivers the late-season insect value migrants need. Buy straight species only. Named cultivars bloom in late winter and miss the fall migration window completely. Tell me your state in the comments below. Your growing zone changes everything about which of these performs best in your yard. Plant number 3, Fothergilla. This shrub is so consistently overlooked that most American gardeners have never heard its name, yet it delivers something no flowering perennial can match during the most critical window of spring warbler migration. Fothergilla gardeni grows in zones 5 through 8, costs $18 to $35, and produces a dense multi-stem branching structure that creates exactly the sheltered interior space and exhausted migrant needs between active feeding bouts in your yard. The magnolia warbler, a mid-distance migrant with bold yellow underparts and heavy black streaking, uses Fothergilla's dense shrub interior as a protected resting chamber during stopovers, conserving fat reserves needed to push further north. The most common mistake is planting in alkaline soil. This native requires pH 4.5 to 6, and alkaline conditions stop new growth within 1 season. Test soil pH before planting and amend with sulfur if needed. Alkaline soil stalls this shrub for good. But nature did not end with one answer. Plant number 4 attracts something entirely different, and most backyards are missing it completely. Plant number 4, American hazelnut. This native shrub supports over 100 documented caterpillar species and flowers as early as February, making it one of the first insect sources available to spring migrants before most other shrubs have leafed out. Corylus americana grows in zones 4 through 9, costs $15 to $35, and produces catkins that attract migrating warblers, weeks before competing shrubs become active in the spring landscape. The Cape May warbler, chestnut cheek patch, streaked yellow underparts, switches from its breeding diet of spruce budworm to insects during migration and visits American hazelnut catkins, specifically for the early season insects clustered inside them. The most common mistake is planting a single shrub. American hazelnut requires a second plant nearby for cross-pollination to produce the nut crop that extends wildlife value through fall. Plant at least 2 shrubs within 50 feet of each other. A single hazelnut produces almost no fruit. Tell me your state in the comments below. Your growing zone changes everything about which of these performs best in your yard. Plant number 5. Common ninebark. This shrub survives Zone 2 winters, tolerates poor soil, and delivers enough insect habitat to stop a migrating warbler during both spring and fall passage. A resilience no ornamental shrub in any American nursery catalog can match. Physocarpus opulifolius grows in zones 2 through 7, costs $14 to $28, and produces clusters of white flowers from May through July, creating an active insect foraging station across the full spring migration window for the northern half of the country. Wilson's warbler, bright yellow with a sharp black cap, seeks dense low shrub thickets near water during stopovers. Exactly the structure common ninebark creates naturally along yard edges and rain gardens. The most common mistake is planting in deep shade. This shrub needs at least 4 hours of direct sun daily to produce the flower density migrants depend on. Site in full to partial sun and water deeply the first summer. Shade-grown ninebark produces half the insect habitat. And plant number 6 takes everything one step further. A shrub so overlooked most American nurseries stop stocking it. Plant number 6. Red-osier dogwood. Birdcast stopover researchers have documented this shrub more consistently as a fall fueling station than almost any other native in the American yard. And most gardeners are growing ornamental alternatives that deliver none of the same value. Cornell grows in zones 2 through 8, costs $15 to $30, and produces white berry clusters ripening in late summer and persisting into October, hitting the exact window when southbound thrushes need high-fat fruit to fuel overnight flights across the continent. Swainson's thrush, an olive, brown nocturnal migrant with a buffy eye ring, consumes multiple red-osier dogwood berry clusters per feeding bout to rebuild fat before each overnight flight south. The most common mistake is planting in dry soil. This wetland edge native produces maximum berry crops only with consistent root moisture. Plant near a rain garden or low spot. Dry soil cuts berry production and eliminates fueling value. But nature did not end with one answer. Plant number 7 attracts something entirely different, and most backyards are missing it completely. Plant number 7. Pagoda dogwood. Most American gardeners know the flowering dogwood tree, but almost none have planted its native shrub cousin that delivers something the ornamental version never will during early fall migration. Cornus alternifolia grows in zones 3 through 7, costs $25 to $55, and produces dark blue-black fruit ripening in August, earlier than almost every other native berry shrub, and precisely aligned with the veery's early fall departure window. The veery, a warm cinnamon, brown thrush with faint spotting below, begins its southbound migration earlier than most thrushes, and Pagoda dogwood's August fruiting is so precisely timed to this species that ornithologists use it as a phenology indicator for early fall migration. The most common mistake is planting in full sun. This understory native requires partial shade to produce reliable fruit crops. Site under high canopy or on a north-facing slope. Full sun stress reduces fruit production significantly every season. Have you ever grown this plant or seen a veery in your yard? Drop it below. I read every comment. Plant number 8. Arrowwood viburnum. Most native shrubs have dropped their fruit by September, but Arrowwood viburnum holds its dark blue berries well into October, making it one of the most critical late-season fueling plants for thrushes, still moving south through American yards. Viburnum recognitum grows in zones 3 through 8, costs $15 to $32, and produces dense clusters of dark blue fruit that persist long after competing berry sources have been stripped bare by earlier migrants. The gray-cheeked thrush, grayish overall with minimal facial markings, is one of the latest fall migrants to move through American yards, arriving when most fueling shrubs have nothing left to offer. The most common mistake is placing Arrowwood viburnum in deep shade. This shrub produces its heaviest fruit loads in full to partial sun, with at least 5 hours of direct light daily. Plant in full to partial sun and avoid heavy clay. Poor drainage reduces fruit production every season. But nature did not end with one answer. Plant number 9 attracts something entirely different, and most backyards are missing it completely. Plant number 9, black chokeberry. This is the only shrub on this list that pulls double duty, fueling fall migrants as they arrive, and then supporting a thrush that actually stays through winter in parts of the United States. Aronia melanocarpa grows in zones 3 through 8, costs $12 to $25, and produces glossy black berries in late summer that persist through fall and into early winter. A fruit window no competing native berry shrub in this price range can match. The hermit thrush, reddish brown tail contrasting with an olive, brown back and spotted breast, is one of the few thrushes that overwinters partially in the U.S., and black chokeberry's persistent fruit supports this species through both fall arrival and winter residency. The most common mistake is planting in consistently wet soil. Standing water causes root rot and eliminates fruit production within 2 seasons. Plant in well-drained soil with compost. Standing water is the one condition this shrub cannot survive. And plant number 10 takes everything one step further. A shrub so overlooked most American nurseries stopped stocking it 20 years ago. Plant number 10, American cranberry bush viburnum. This shrub's bright red persistent berries are documented as a critical late fall fuel source along Atlantic flyway stopovers for one of the most range-restricted migrants in eastern North America. Viburnum trilobum grows in zones 2 through 7, costs $15 to $32, and produces clusters of bright red berries holding on the shrub through October and November, exactly when the last and rarest thrushes are still moving south. Bicknell's thrush, nearly identical to the gray-cheeked thrush, but smaller and warmer in tone, breeds only in high-elevation spruce, for forest and is so range-restricted that most gardeners will never see one unless their yard sits directly on the Atlantic flyway. The most common mistake is buying the European cranberry bush. Only Viburnum trilobum is native and delivers the full fruit value migrants depend on. Buy only Viburnum trilobum. European lookalikes are widely sold but deliver far less fruit value for migrants. Did you know this plant attracted this bird? Be completely honest in the comments. Plant number 11, Sweetspire. Most nurseries never stock this native shrub, yet it replicates the exact streamside foraging habitat that one of the smallest spring warblers actively seeks during migration. Itea virginica grows in zones 5 through 9, costs $15 to $30, and produces arching branches that naturally drape over water edges, mirroring the streamside habitat the northern parula uses for foraging during spring stopovers across southeastern and mid-Atlantic yards. The northern parula blue-gray above, with a yellow throat and dark breastband, forages almost exclusively along water edges during migration, making Sweetspire's natural arching growth habit a direct and documented habitat match. The most common mistake is planting away from moisture. This shrub performs best within 10 feet of a water feature or consistently moist low area in your yard. Plant within 10 feet of a water feature or moist low area. Dry upland soil eliminates habitat value, but nature did not end with one answer. Plant number 12 attracts something entirely different, and most backyards are missing it completely. Plant number 12, Buttonbush. No other native shrub grows directly in standing water, flowers through summer, and replicates the wetland edge habitat that one of the most brilliantly colored warblers in North America seeks during migration. Cephalanthus occidentalis grows in zones 5 through 11, costs $14 to $30, and produces round white flower clusters from June through August that attract insects in numbers no upland shrub can match, creating a fueling station migrants moving through wetland corridors actively seek. The prothonotary warbler, brilliant golden, yellow head and breast with blue, gray wings, seeks wetland, edge structure during stopovers, and Buttonbush is one of the few backyard shrubs that genuinely replicates that habitat. The most common mistake is planting in dry upland soil. This shrub requires standing or saturated moisture to survive. Plant at a pond edge or low spot with seasonal flooding. Dry soil causes failure within one season, but nature did not end with one answer. Plant number 13 attracts something entirely different, and most backyards are missing it completely. Plant number 13, Spicebush. This is the plant I mentioned at the very beginning, the one most gardeners walk past every season without knowing what they are missing. Lindera benzoin grows in zones 4 through 9, costs $18 to $35, and hosts the Spicebush swallowtail caterpillar, a fat, rich larvae the yellow-billed cuckoo seeks during late spring arrival when most birds refuse hairy caterpillars entirely. The yellow-billed cuckoo, brown above, white below, long tail with bold white spots, and a yellow lower bill, has evolved a stomach lining allowing it to digest hairy caterpillars. Most birds cannot eat, and Spicebush is one of the primary native shrubs, producing them in backyard quantities. The most common mistake is planting a single Spicebush. Both male and female plants are required for berry production, and a solo plant delivers only half its wildlife value. Plant one male and one female within 20 feet of each other. Solo plants produce no fruit for fall migrants. Did you know this plant attracted this bird? Be completely honest in the comments. Plant number 14, Pawpaw, the largest native fruit tree in North America that most American gardeners have never considered, and it creates a dense understory canopy that one of the most elusive spring flycatchers depends on during migration. Asimina triloba grows in zones 5 through 8, costs $25 to $60, and produces enormous tropical-looking leaves that cast deep shade and create a mid-story insect environment no standard backyard shrub can replicate. The Acadian flycatcher, olive green above, pale yellow below, with a prominent white eye ring, forages almost exclusively an insect, rich mid-story canopy during spring arrival, and Pawpaw's dense understory delivers exactly that foraging layer. The most common mistake is planting a single pawpaw. This tree requires two genetically different plants for fruit production and delivers far less wildlife value as a solo specimen. Plant two different pawpaw varieties within 30 feet. Cross-pollination is required for the fruit crop, but nature did not end with one answer. Plant number 15 attracts something entirely different, and most backyards are missing it completely. Plant number 15, American Beautyberry. No native shrub produces a more visually distinctive fruit display, and in September and October, gray catbirds moving south seek its magenta berry clusters as a documented fall fueling stop. Calicarpa americana grows in zones 6 through 10, costs $15 to $30, and produces vivid magenta, purple fruit wrapped tightly around stems in October when most other shrubs have gone green and quiet. The gray catbird, slate gray with a rust-colored undertail, travels south from northern breeding populations in fall and targets high, sugar-berry sources like Beautyberry, specifically to rebuild fat reserves before continuing further south. The most common mistake is cutting American Beautyberry to the ground in fall. This shrub fruits on new growth, so late winter pruning is correct, and fall cutting eliminates the entire berry crop. Prune in late winter only. Fall pruning removes next season's berry crop before migrants arrive. But nature did not end with one answer. Plant number 16 attracts something entirely different, and most backyards are missing it completely. A retired teacher in Ohio Zone 6 had spent 3 full seasons watching migration reports on Birdcast without a single warbler stopping in her yard. In the fall of 2024, she planted 8 of the shrubs on this list along her back fence line, spending just under $220 total at a native plant nursery 2 towns over. The following May, during World Migratory Bird Day, she submitted an eBird checklist that recorded 14 migrant species using her yard as a stopover within a single week, including a Blackpoll Warbler, 2 Swainson's Thrushes, and a Yellow-billed Cuckoo she had never once seen in 30 years of backyard watching. What she did not know before planting was what Cornell Lab of Ornithology research confirms, that yards with native shrub structure stop 10 times more migrant species than yards with feeders alone. The plants on this list are not decorations. They are documented stopover infrastructure that feeders can never replace. Plant number 16. Winged sumac. Most warblers disappear from American yards by November, but one species lingers, and the reason it survives farther north than any other warbler through winter comes down to this one native shrub. Rus copalinum grows in zones 4 through 9, costs $12 to $25, and produces dense clusters of dark red fruit persisting deep into winter, providing high-calorie food when every other fruit source has been stripped bare. The yellow-rumped warbler gray blue above with a bright yellow rump patch is the only warbler in North America capable of digesting waxy fruit like winged sumac berries, a metabolic adaptation allowing it to overwinter farther north than any competing warbler species. The most common mistake is removing winged sumac for its spreading habit that colonizing growth creates the dense fruit. Bearing thickets migrants depend on. Prune in late winter only. Fall pruning removes next season's berry crop before migrants arrive. But nature did not end with one answer. Plant number 16 attracts something entirely different, and most backyards are missing it completely. Plant number 17. Red chokeberry. Most American gardeners have seen this shrub in parking lots and never considered it for migration, not knowing its early fruit aligns exactly with one of the most visually striking migrants in eastern yards. Aronia arbustifolia grows in zones 4 through 9, costs $12 to $26, and produces bright red berries ripening in late summer, earlier than most competing native shrubs and time to the rose. Breasted grosbeak's early fall departure. The rose, breasted grosbeak, black head, brilliant rose, red triangular breast patch, white underparts, is one of the most dramatically patterned migrants in eastern North America, and red chokeberry's early fruit delivers a critical fueling stop before the long flight south. The most common mistake is planting in deep shade. Fruit production drops sharply without at least 5 hours of direct sun daily. Plant in full to partial sun and avoid clay. Shade and poor drainage reduce the early fruit crop. But nature did not end with one answer. Plant number 18 attracts something entirely different, and most backyards are missing it completely. Plant number 18, Possumhaw holly. This is the plant that keeps a rare winter vagrant alive long enough to recover, and if a varied thrush ever appears in your yard, these berries are almost certainly the reason it stayed. Ilex decidua grows in zones 5 through 9, costs $20 to $45, and produces orange, red berries persisting on bare branches through winter, one of the most reliable cold-season fruit sources for any bird wandering far outside its normal range. The varied thrush burnt orange breast with a bold black breastband and slate, blue back, is a western species occasionally appearing as a rare winter vagrant in eastern yards, and eBird records consistently document sightings near persistent berry shrubs like Possumhaw. The most common mistake is buying a male plant. Only female Possumhaw holly produces berries, and a male-only planting delivers zero fruit value. Confirm you are buying a female plant and place one male nearby. Solo females produce no berries. But nature did not end with one answer. Plant number 19 attracts something entirely different, and most backyards are missing it completely. Plant number 19, smooth alder. Almost no American gardener has deliberately planted this shrub, despite the fact that it creates the exact wetland, edge thicket habitat one of the most numerous warblers in North America depends on during migration. Ulmus cerulata grows in zones 3 through 8, costs $15 to $30, and produces dense multi-stem thickets along water margins that provide the low shrub cover the common yellowthroat actively seeks during spring and fall stopovers. The common yellowthroat male, with a bold black face mask bordered by gray and a bright yellow throat, breeds in dense wetland, edge vegetation, and uses identical structure during migration, making smooth alder a dual-season resource no other shrub on this list replicates. The most common mistake is planting away from water. Without moisture, this shrub loses its thicket, forming value within 2 seasons. Plant at a pond edge or rain garden where roots stay consistently moist. Dry upland soil eliminates this shrub's value entirely. Have you ever grown this plant or seen a common yellow throat in your yard? Drop it below. I read every comment. Plant number 20, Eastern Wahoo. The last plant on this list, matched to a bird that may be the very last migrant of the year to pass through your yard, and the very first to return in spring. Same bird, same plant. Euonymus atrapurpureus grows in zones 3 through 9, costs $15 to $32, and produces pink and orange capsule fruits, splitting open in late fall, releasing red seeds precisely when white-crowned sparrows move through American yards in October and November. The white-crowned sparrow, bold black, and white-striped crown, gray face, is one of the last fall migrants, and among the first spring returnees, and its ground foraging habit means fallen eastern wahoo seeds are consumed directly from leaf litter below the shrub. The most common mistake is planting in full sun. This understory native requires partial shade and moisture to produce its full capsule fruit display. Plant in partial shade with consistent moisture. Full sun and dry soil reduce capsule fruit production every season. Subscribe to the Bird's Garden. The plants that bring birds to your yard are still out there. We find them every single week. You just watched 20 native shrubs matched 1-to-1 with 20 migratory species. But here are 3 things most gardeners never know. First, fall planting is the single most powerful timing decision you can make. Roots established over winter mean full fruit and insect value ready for spring migration the following April, and missing the fall planting window means waiting a full year. Second, Birdcast radar shows peak migration nights move 300 to 500 million birds across the U.S. in a single evening during April and May, and the difference between a yard that stops birds and one that does not comes down to whether native shrub structure exists below that flight path. Third, a $200 to $500 investment across these 20 shrubs delivers support that no feeder or ornamental planting can replicate, because migrants need live insects and high-fat fruit, not seed. You just received zone-accurate, dollar-grounded, nature-referenced bird and garden wisdom that most channels never put in one place. That is what every video on this channel delivers. Subscribe now and turn on the bell. Here is the single clearest action plan for these 20 shrubs. Start with 3 shrubs that match your zone and your yard's moisture level, 1 for spring migration, 1 for fall, and 1 that bridges both seasons. Mark each shrub with a labeled stake at planting so you can track which species stops, and when this single habit turns your yard into a migration monitoring station that eBird can verify. If you are in zones 2 through 5, prioritize wild hydrangea, common ninebark, and American cranberry bush viburnum first. These 3 cover the widest range of migratory species with the lowest establishment risk in cold climates. If you are in zones 6 through 10, prioritize American Beautyberry, Buttonbush, and Sweetspire. These 3 deliver the highest fruit and insect value for southern flyway migrants, most likely to stop in your yard. Total budget for a 3-shrub starter planting, $45 to $90, depending on your zone and local nursery. Every migration season, billions of birds cross this country overnight, looking for what these 20 shrubs provide, and most pass over yards that have nothing to offer. Not because those gardeners do not care, because nobody showed them that migrants need insect-loaded native shrubs and high-fat fruit, not feeders, not ornamentals. That does not have to be your yard anymore. The plants are documented. The birds are real. The investment is $200 to $500, and it works across every USDA zone in America. Subscribe to the Bird's Garden. Every week we put bird and garden knowledge in your hands that most gardeners spend years learning the hard way. The birds are already moving. Your yard can be ready for them.